and I feel like I'm going to touch things because everything's backward. My microphone was before on that side, but now it's on this side, and I'm super used to, hey, everybody. I'm Mike. This is Nick. And we are useless to society. And as Natalie's question will address later, we don't know why we do anything. But specifically tonight, what we are doing is answering your questions and giving terrible advice. Nick, how are you this evening?
I'm good, Michael. Thank you.
Do you sleep all day on Sundays? Like, what do you do on Sundays most of the time?
I went out and got exercise for like 2 consecutive hours, and then I went and did some gaming, and then I went to sleep.
Okay, 2 things. 1, exercise. 2, nobody buys that. 2, my daughter Ellie, who is 16, I think she seriously slept until 5 p.m. today. I think that was a real thing. And I'm super impressed by that, I have to say. That's pretty pro. So, if you guys have not watched Ask Twinsies before, the idea is pretty simple. Simple enough that even we could understand it. You guys ask us questions about all kinds of things. We give you pretty terrible answers. Our job is to give you advice so that you never ask us anything again. This week, we were supposed to have our friend Nicole Abood show up, but she apparently is pregnant, and that was more important than us.
Wah. She's going to have to deal with soon.
So she got to ask a few questions. Do extraterrestrial beings exist? White meat or dark meat chicken? Can you, Mike and Nick, somehow recreate your... I really thought that said porn the first time I read that, but it says prom pictures together. So let's go to number 1. Any thoughts on extraterrestrial?
I think they do exist.
You do? I saw a picture of, like, what's the big telescope? Hubble?
Mm-hmm.
Where it took, like, this tiny block of space, and it was just crazy numbers of galaxies. And I was like, I'm sure that there are extraterrestrials. And then I read a book called We Are Legion, We Are Bob. And I'm not so sure now.
Well,
I'm not so sure
that title of that book leaves me wondering
it's
what
a
kind
documentary.
of person wrote it. And, yeah, I don't know. The galaxies are so big. It's just hard for me to think that we're the only... It's hard for me to see how intelligent we are.
We're the most intelligent possible beings in the universe?
I don't buy it.
Crap. Do you have opinions on the usefulness of white meat chicken? Why is it? What's it even for?
No. The dark meat is the only option here. I don't know why. Oh, white meat. Yeah, if I want to be healthy, that's why I went and exercised earlier, so I could eat all the dark meat.
Not even hard. Did you go to prom?
Nope, I did not. I rebelled at that. Barry Seidel is here, and Johnny Finch is watching. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
I did go to prom. Unfortunately, Nicole, I don't think I could fit into that dress again. Warren sends a visual question, so you might not be able to... Did you see the egg picture?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm
going to float this like in the middle of the screen, kids. Giant picture. This is Warren cracked an egg, or he found this on the Googles. 1 shell, 2 yolks. How is this possible? Nick?
Different from 2 girls, 1 cup. This is a diploid cell resulting from fusion of the haploid gametes, a fertilized ovum. This is essentially 2 cells being fertilized in 1 ovum.
When you say ovum...
That was the part of my entire, what I just said, that you were disgusted by.
This doesn't sound right. Carol, who's a fan and always scares me, asks, LSD or clonazepam?
Clonazepam. Both.
Pam?
Both, yeah.
The answer is yes. I have to say, I never saw a CSI episode about LSD, but I did see one about clonazepam, so I know it's pretty serious.
Yeah, they're both.
That was the Miami
one is
guy.
For,
did you?
Yeah, you weren't. Yeah, not.
Doesn't he look like? Doesn't he?
No, you got to work on that.
Should I fall in love with the behavioral scientist from New York? What's a behavioral scientist?
I think they're the ones who prescribe clonazepam.
That sounds like
And
a useful guy to have around.
yeah, you want that person around. Go ahead and fall in love.
You plan for that.
This makes there's so many questions here. Do you just choose who to fall in love with? Like,
Oh
well,
yeah,
that's
like
the
it's
one.
just a button. Like it
Yeah,
just.
that's the one. I'm gonna go fall in love with that
That's
one.
a good question. I think there was a Disney movie about that. Zach asked the question: what is the correct way to pronounce voir dire? Voir dire?
I go with voir dire myself.
Voir dire.
Voir dire.
Wow. I don't know. We say voir dire, I think, in most of Texas. I've heard voir dire, but those people, I'm pretty sure, are mouth breathers and don't know how to talk. Speaking of mouth breathing, he also asks if I'm going back to court, right? And we're all doing this, and we're trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. If I'm going back to court, shoes, belt, socks, tie, face mask. What has to match here? What's the fashion police say?
Personally, with all the fashion knowledge that I possess, Mike, I like the mask tie combo. Personally, I think that's a good combo. But if you're going to go tie and socks, yeah, I want the mask as well. I feel like it's just one more accessory.
Yeah, I really feel like the mask and thong should, coordinate.
Yeah.
That way, it takes a little bit of the mystery away, but still makes things sort of exciting,
Fair.
Scintillating. So Law Cuts asks a real question. I don't know who these guys are, but they always ask real questions.
They do ask real questions.
Any words of
'cause
wisdom?
We've got real answers.
They're no good. Any words of wisdom for legal tech companies targeting a low price point given the long sales cycle? Meaning, if I'm dealing with a law firm, it takes 18 months to get them to make a decision. If I'm selling them something that costs a Kit Kat bar, that's a lot of investment to put in. Any advice on dealing with slow-moving law firms?
Yeah. So this is tough because everybody deals with it in legal tech, and either you got to move the price point up, which I highly recommend, or you've got to sell it to more users than your low price point is per user at the firm. Because that's a tough one. You're going to have a lot of trouble with that.
And we have the same problem with lawyers who are trying to figure out how to bridge the gap in the mid-market and whatever. And it's such an interesting thing because in order to turn the money back on that, your sales cycle has to be short. You have to be able to get money quickly. And so a lot of these, VC-funded companies that you see explode, it's because they're doing a mass market product. And
right.
How do you have a niche like law? And there are some companies that are like PI law or family law. I mean, they're getting really niched, and then their product is $30 a month. And
then you got to think about what's your customer acquisition cost for a low price point. If your customer acquisition cost exceeds the cost of your tool that you're selling, that's going to be a serious problem. So you got to increase the price point. And then there's always the thing of people have this connection, this perception with what they're paying for something, and the more they pay, the better they think it is. So don't undersell yourself on that.
Which was a long way for us to say we don't know.
I think we gave good answers there. But at least in delusions, we've always given good answers.
Well, Johnny asks the question.
Mark C. Palmer is here.
Mark Palmer is here?
He's here. He's joined.
Oh my gosh.
He's watching.
Like my dimples are excited. I don't even have dimples, and they're excited.
Yeah. You're blushing.
I love your dimples. Anyway, Johnny asked the question, Prince or Michael Jackson? This feels like I'm about to step in it. What about you?
Yeah, tough one. I'm going to go Prince just for the anti-pedophilia, that whole thing. But it's so dangerous because they were both, if we're going on pure talent, they were both hugely talented.
Yeah, I'm going to go MJ because I had the jacket. The red jacket with the black zippers and all this stuff.
Did you wear the one glove too?
I'm not going to say... Okay, my mom would not go get me the actual Michael Jackson glove. So yes, as a kid, we lived in cold places. We would have 2 gloves, but I kid you not, even in fat snow gloves, I would only wear the one. And I'd cut off the fingers, and I was that guy. So I just...
You said fat snow gloves. Were you also a chubby child?
I really wasn't, actually. I was sort of a rail. So I'd keep telling my son, who's super rail thin and keeps making fun of me and eating whatever he wants, I'm like, enjoy it. Enjoy it while it lasts, asshole.
Yeah. Catches up with you.
It's called parenting. So in the annals of No One Asked You, this is a new segment of the show where we didn't get enough questions from the Ask Twinsies audience. So rather than just make crap up, we just stole from the internet. So this next few questions is just from randos on the internet, but they're good, and I like them. So Karen Vladek asked the question, what is something that at one point you found ridiculous or useless that you now think is great?
This was an easy one for me because the answer was Mike Whalen Jr.
That's so funny because I totally was going to say you. It was you. And now I take it back because I don't think you're great. I think you suck and you're ridiculous and useless.
Well, then you still need to answer KSV's question.
Yeah, no, you're right. I feel like I need to come back up with something. How about, do you know what a spider is?
Mm-hmm.
Not the bug, the kitchen tool, the kitchen utensil. So it's like this tiny strainer. It's like there's like a stick and it's a mini strainer. And I saw people use that thing. I was like, that's the dumbest thing. Because why not just use the strainer? But now that I know the value of using your starchy water and, moving things out, you just want to strain them really quickly and just move them over. If you brown your meat and then you want to put, for your chili or whatever, and then you want to pull it out, that spider thing, you can pull that meat out, like really get all of it out and then get your fat hot again to sear up some... It's called a spider.
This has become exhausting.
This
has become exhausting.
I'm back to thinking you're great. I lied that whole time. That was just me.
Mark Palmer is making his wife eat popcorn and said he'll be chatty in a few. So run back to us, Mark.
Don't leave me, Mark. So other rando person on the internet, blah law law, asked, "What are you better at than Michael Jordan?"
Honesty. I'm honest. I'm not a womanizer. I mean, there's so many things except for basketball and huge financial success, which he's been great at both of those. But other than that, I've got a lot of the others. Morality, things like that are covered.
I'm way better at basketball than him. B, he did say blah, 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 added, give me real answers. I want MJ to see this, find you arrogant clowns, and crush you. I'll give you a real answer that I'm going to win at every time. It's called self-loathing.
Fair. That's a good answer. And I do also want Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan. Wait, which MJ are we talking about here?
Jordan.
Okay. Just making sure.
There's a lot to choose from in weirdness in both of them.
Yeah, but I kind of want him to find us and crush us as well. I think that would make for a good story.
Maybe we could wrestle in the mud and see who wins. Matt asked the question publicly, what lockdown purchases have radically, unexpectedly improved your quality of life?
I haven't made any incredible lockdown purchases.
I have to say, today I created a curtained room. And I know that sounds super creepy and a little stalky, and I do not have a white van in the garage, but my house, like, now that we've got kids all over the place and there's just noise all the time, I had to work in the basement, but there was no closed-off space except for my daughter's room. And so I actually bought, on the internet, you can buy giant soundproof curtains that you hang from floor to ceiling, and I've just created this whole new studio.
Does it really cut any sound?
I don't know, because I threatened the kids with physical violence, and so they all went in their rooms. So I'm not entirely sure if it's actually working.
Okay.
But it's
But
cool.
the threat worked. Nice to know that the threat is still working.
I've got my own space, but we've made a lot of purchases. I have to say we're bad. My wife likes, we had this experience again yesterday. She likes to go to the store and she sees that as relationship building. And so we have gone to a lot of stores and we bought a lot of rando things. So thank you for joining us for that session of No One Asked You.
Mm-hmm.
Our new session. Because
new segment.
We needed more questions. Jordan asked previously a very pointed question. If there is agreement that the legal system is broken, then what is the share of blame among lawyers, the monopoly, judges, inefficiency equals less work and prestige, legislatures, keep the law complex, and others?
Wow.
Who's to blame?
How long did he think we'd be on tonight? Because this is
got a couple books behind me that can.
There's like books written on this. There's years of schooling written on this. How we do 30 minutes. Everybody has their part, and everybody shares in the blame.
Yeah, the answer is Obama.
We should go further back. This is a Reagan problem.
Thanks, Obama. Did you see that his official White House portrait came out, and it was him in the tan suit? That is so awesome that people freaked out about him wearing a tan suit, and so he had his official White House photo be the tan suit.
So he trolled.
Oh man, it's like eternal trolling. That makes me. That could not be funnier. Emily sent a question about bacon. She shows a graph of 6 different donenesses of bacon. 1 being raw, 6 being something from a horror movie. Where are you in the darkness and doneness of bacon?
Usually right around a 3 or 4, probably. I can see it, Mike, because I have Facebook on. Yeah, I'm going to be about a 3.
Yeah, I sort of feel like it depends on the purpose that you're using it for. If you're going to cook it just to gnaw on it, right? You're just going to eat it straight. Then I'm more of a 4 person. If I'm going to use it for a BLT, I might lean to the 4, really
5,
crunchy.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, you might want it really crunchy in a BLT. But if I'm going to cook it down like in a pasta or something, I'm going to keep it a little more tender because I don't want to.
Who's doing the 1, by the way? Like, is that just raw bacon?
No, that's my wife.
Raw bacon? That's disgusting.
That's my wife.
Your wife's disgusting.
She likes it just barely seared and turned over. She's weird.
That's disgusting.
Speaking of weird foods, Jessica asked the question, if I can find it, about olives. You either love them or you hate them. Which are you? Do you like olives?
I'm an olive lover.
I hate them.
I love a wide variety of olive.
I can't. I wish I could get into it. I feel so uncultured. You know what I mean? That I just can't get into olives.
Yeah, no. This may be a Middle Eastern thing because or even even the Italians do the antipasto, and Middle Easterners usually have olives and pickles of some sort as kind of a palate cleanser.
Yeah, and I think it has. I think they've shown that it actually has, like, the actual taste is very different from person to person because cilantro is that way. Like, my daughter eats cilantro and she thinks she's sucking on soap because it just tastes really soapy to her. And to me, it just tastes like cilantro. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, it's probably that Midwestern palate you've got.
Can't do olives. I do eat my body weight in olive oil every year. There's no question about that.
Yeah,
and
olive oil is good.
That's quite a lot of olive oil. Some rando on the internet named Nick said, if we really want to get controversial tonight, we can go with this question. Pepsi or Coca-Cola? Is this controversial?
I think it is, if you're not into politics and other awful stuff like that.
Pepsi's the worst.
Yeah, I agree. Coca-Cola is I want the bite. I want it to burn as it's going down.
Well, and Diet Coke, you can drop a lime in there, and I mean that's just perfection. You put any kind of lemon or lime into a Pepsi, it just is like, what is this? It's cleaning solution. It's gross.
Well, Krems comes in late here with jumbo black pitted olives are great, but I can't stand green olives. And I agree on the first part, Jonathan, and I disagree on the second.
Yeah, that's very specific. I don't have like a range of olive opinions. In the same way, I can't. There's not a kind of Pepsi that I prefer. One thing,
No,
when I grew up
there's
in
no
Texas,
Pepsi to prefer.
Texans all drink Dr. Pepper. It's like a thing down there. And when you go into restaurants and you say, "I want Dr. Pepper. Do you have Dr. Pepper?" They would say, "Well, no, we have Mr. Pibb."
No, no. Don't sidestep
same.
the question.
Oh my gosh. I just saw that Phil Brown jumped in, and he had a question that I don't even understand. He says,
Sounds like Phil.
you can only pick one Canadian TV series to watch. Is it Letterkenny, Schitt's Creek, Kim's Convenience, or Little Mosque on the Prairie? Wild card is Corner Gas.
This is no question. I think you and I both agree. It's Letterkenny.
Letterkenny is the only one I've ever heard of. I have also heard of Heartland.
I've heard of Schitt's Creek.
I've heard of Heartland, Apparently there are horses in the middle of nowhere in Canada, and the kids get in dramatic fights about who's dating who, and I don't know, like, what is the meaning of life? I know that one. That one's pretty good. That is not what Letterkenny is about.
Nope, no, it's not, and it is a glorious, glorious show.
I feel so bad when I laugh at that show. I try to be a moral man, but I can't not laugh at that show. It's pretty hilarious.
Jessica just chimed in with Mr. Pibb is Dr. Pepper. I told you it was a controversial topic to bring up.
My Texas rage builds. I don't even know emotionally how we can continue, or if I can even use Jessica's next question. She asked, one of the best pieces of advice I got when starting out as a lawyer was read the code. You'd be surprised by how many lawyers don't know the code. That's real. What is one of the best piece of advice you received about getting into law practice?
Yeah, so don't practice law, go into business was probably one of the best that I got.
That's sort of, yeah, that was, sorry guys. That was, actually, the best advice I got that I didn't listen to was from Dirk Jordan. Said, don't practice in an area in which people would be crying in your office. And so, of course, I did family law.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
People definitely cried in my office.
You read the cases in family law? You read those cases and you're like, I want to be a part of it? Like, you couldn't see that was a nightmare from the beginning?
Yeah, I realized pretty soon that... Have you seen As Good as It Gets? The movie As Good as It Gets?
Yeah.
There's that scene where Cuba Gooding Jr. knocks on Jack Nicholson's door, and Jack Nicholson opens up and he says, go sell crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
Yeah.
That's how I felt as a family lawyer. I was like, why am I taking on your craziness? I've got all that I need.
Like, I read the cases in school and thought, God, I would never want to be anywhere near this.
We've got one final question today. If any of you guys have any comments or questions that you want to add, Nick and I can address them. I do want to remind you that we are doing this every week because we have nothing better to do because it's the apocalypse and we're sad. Please ask more questions because we enjoy answering them.
We do.
They're useless. So I'm going to bring this question over from Natalie. She asked a pertinent question. I haven't asked Twinsies question with broad application. She says, why bother?
Yeah, well, there comes a time in life when you have to let go of all the pointless drama and the people who create it and surround yourself with people who make you laugh so hard that you forget the bad and focus solely on the good. After all, life is too short, but to be anything but unhappy or be anything but happy. So that's why you bother.
I was going to take notes, but I found that my throw pillows are over there already have everything you just said on there.
So in order to answer that, I Googled it and found throw
I went on
saying,
Pinterest, actually. When she first put this up, I thought she was talking about our show, like specifically our show.
which would have been even more
The
amazing.
hell are you guys doing? But then she said that Ask Twinsies is the only light in this dark universe, which means that she can't be trusted to judge anything. But I do have to ask you before we go. I had a thing this week. I made a couple of decisions that were really hard. There were a few people in my, especially Facebook, who, I want to engage with people who have different ideas than me. I want to see the other sides of things, but people were just using social to broadcast, uninformed vitriol. It's all over the place. When do you just mute people? When I'm thinking back to your point about, not dealing with people, when do you just mute them? Does that make me intellectually, too linear that I just want to shut people up?
No, I mute them all the time. It's like it really is. I mean, it may be a throw pillow, but honestly, what do you need in your life? If I'm on Twitter or Facebook for entertainment, which is mostly what I'm on social media for learning and entertainment, then I don't really need insanity and crazy thoughts and crazy ideas that don't make sense or aren't based on science, and so I mute it. I still want to be able to. It's about building the neighborhood that I want to live in, and I don't need to have that kind of insanity in my off time or my downtime or my professional time. So quiet.
Well, and as we know, there's every chance that we're the smartest beings in the universe. So why do I have to take time learning what other people think? No reason. Thank you guys for joining us. That was called a callback. You see what I did there?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Right back to the beginning. Thank you guys for joining us. Remember, all week you can post questions using the Ask Twinsies hashtag. Nick and I will find them next week. We will give you terrible advice because this is what we do on Sunday nights. We're very sad.
It seems to be, though, Mike, that about 2 of our questions are reasonable. Does that seem to be how we're doing it? We'll do 2. We actually give some sort of a reasonable answer, and the rest of it's
we didn't get hair advice. We didn't give any hair advice tonight.
That's the first time this week. Well, you can actually use a little bit of the saliva on the sides there.
Y'all have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, man.